How's it going, everyone? Welcome into the Coffee Break Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Thomas. As always, last one of the year, last day of the year. Tomorrow is January 1st, which is crazy that we're already there. 2024 is already over, but it is what it is. A little bit behind the scenes, what's going on at Foundation. First off, releases this week. We are going to be having a restock on the Brixton cards, I believe. The Brixton hobby boxes. I think we're going to restock those in. I think that's about it. I don't think we have a ton hitting the site this week. This is kind of a slow, few weeks between Christmas and then going into January. We have a lot of really, really exciting stuff coming in January, February. I mean, to be honest with you, I've had a few different phone calls and planning meetings and stuff like that for stuff that gets me really fired up for 2025. I think that we're going to be doing some stuff that we haven't done before, a lot of stuff we haven't done before. And I can't wait to start sharing that with you all. Probably going to be 3 to 4 weeks before some of those announcements start rolling out, maybe longer. But we're stoked. We're super excited for all of them. And I can't wait to start sharing that with you guys and, letting you behind the scenes as to what our thought process was with all the different stuff that's going on. With that being said, yesterday we kicked off something that was kind of new for us, which is we started streaming on Whatnot. If you don't know what Whatnot is, the best way I was describing it to my wife was it's kind of like the modern day QVC, if you will. It's basically an app. I can pull it up on my phone, actually, if you're watching. If you're not watching, I'm sorry, but it's an app on your phone that, let me just click on someone random here, that you just pop into and someone will be live showing you whatever products. And then when they pull a product up at the bottom, you can bid on it. So you can see at the bottom, it says what you can bid, and you just swipe to bid. And so you put products up there for us, discs, and people just swipe to bid. So they're just bidding on whatever the disc is. And so we had a stack of discs. We were kind of testing it yesterday, and it went incredibly well. I think that it's just kind of a mix of you're buying the disc, but you're also a part of the experience type thing. And obviously yesterday was the launch. So there was a lot more hype around it. There was a lot of people there to see specific discs, blah, blah, blah. So I know better than to expect any other stream to go like yesterday. But the good news is I'm not scared now of, if I put product on there, will it go for less than we paid for it? And so we're going to be able to start doing that probably every other week. Will probably be our pacing with it. Until we get a good rhythm of these are the streams people really enjoy. Because we're trying to figure out a lot of what's successful on Whatnot is mystery type stuff, card breaks where you're buying a spot because you have the potential to earn, a really rare card or really rare whatever. Versus disc off, this is one of my Trash Panda disc exchangers, got this Envy, right? If I were to show this Envy off, you know exactly what you're buying. So you know what this disc is worth. And sure, there's something a little bit different if you're buying it from Trevor and I, and you can get us to sign it, or it's a part of the stream or whatever. It's a little bit different in that aspect, but at the end of the day, it's still just that Envy. So we're trying to find that balance, but it's really exciting. I think it's just a fun new platform. There was some confusion as to, because we have a live selling platform in our app, right? And so there's some confusion as why do you have another one with Whatnot? The big difference that we're going to use them for is auctions. So in our app, it allows us to basically just promote products that are on the site or promote products that are specifically in the app. And so what that allows is if we have certified used, if we want to put exclusive discs in the app where we have, 30 of them, and we're selling them all for $10, app exclusive deal, we can go live on the app, show that off, and you can buy it straight in the app, and it's seamless. It's awesome. We love that. That's what we're going to use the app for. Whatnot we're going to use for auctions, where you can bid because it's, maybe each, it's one specific disc. It's just I'm using this Envy again. It's just this one Envy, and I can show you there's ink on the bottom. I can show you whatever, right? And it's it's just this Envy. That's what you're bidding on, versus I have a stack of these Envies and you're just buying one. That's the kind of the difference we're going to use between Whatnot and in our app. And it's also just good for us to be on another platform because there's people there that might discover Foundation, might not know who we are, and it's another social platform, and it's gaining a lot of steam. I'm imagining that over the course of this upcoming year, we're going to see Whatnot competitors. Maybe someone will buy out Whatnot. I know there's already, I think eBay might have a live streaming one. If they don't, they're going to have one soon, I'm sure. Amazon, I'm sure, will soon have where you can live sell in there. And I wouldn't surprise me if Instagram and Facebook started having where when you go live, you can throw it into the live stream and have people bid in there. I really expect that's a really easy step for them to take. So when those things happen, we'll reevaluate. Where do we want to be? We'll be where the attention is. But right now, the attention's Whatnot, and it was killer. It was awesome. So that's definitely something we're gonna be doing more of in 2025, and try to figure out ways that we can add value to the people who are in those streams. So again, you're a part of something, because right now there's a lot of people that just kind of, here's this disc, and we're not even really talking. We're just showing you the disc. You bid $5 for it. Sick. You got a good deal. Move on to the next one, and that's that. We want to at least bring entertainment. So even if you join a stream and you don't bid a single time, you got to see some cool plastic. Maybe you got to shop the warehouse, whatever it may be, and you enjoyed it. So we're trying to brainstorm a few different things on how we can up our Whatnot game and do more on that platform, because I think it's a lot of fun. Heck, at the end of the day, I sold my favorite hoodie on there yesterday. A little sad about that. Very sad about that. But hey, what if you got my hoodie? So it is what it is. I got caught in the moment. People were begging for it. Took it off my back. Sold it. Who cares? It is what it is. As I was looking back for this, though, I wanted to kind of just think back some on 2024 as a whole and think through what worked well for Foundation. Was there things that we didn't do great that I understand more about, or what it might be? And I think I'll attack it from two things. I'm just going to talk about, I'll go three things total from two different angles. So the first thing that we introduced really 2 years ago, but we ramped up this year, I guess I'll go fourth thing because this wasn't one on my list, but was the subscription box. I feel like this year was the first. We had it, I think, at the end of 2022. And we originally introduced it. It was just a mystery box every month. We tried to have it where most people got the same discs, but it was a little bit of a hodgepodge. But I mean, at that point, we just started it. We didn't really know. It didn't have an identity yet. We thought it was a cool idea. 2020, so that was the end of 2022 we started. 2023, it started to get an identity where by the end, we were starting to hopefully have custom stamps in most of the boxes and stuff like that. And people started to see the value in a little bit more. 2024, I feel like it really grew into what its true identity is, where every month you pretty much are guaranteed one custom stamp, 2 stock premium discs. Some months, like this December box, you got 3 premium discs. And having the consistent number where we know we're going to have at least X amount there allows us to plan ahead a little bit more and be able to buy actually even cooler discs. And so the subscription box, I think, was one thing that we really figured out a lot more in 2024. In 2025 now, I think the idea behind it is, okay, now we know what it is. We know what people like. We kind of know how it works. How do we grow it? It's big. It's one of our bigger, more successful products. But the draw to it is you get a deal, and by getting a deal, we have to cut our margin. So having your biggest product be your tightest margin isn't ideal unless you can push the quantity. So that's the idea this upcoming year. I'm not looking to raise the price on it unless disc prices go up. If we're able to keep working with manufacturers to keep our disc prices down for the subscription box, then we're fine. If disc prices go up, we'll have to address that when we address it, but we'll be very open about that. I don't perceive that happening. I think that disc golf's been able to settle in, and I don't see the pricing changing a ton anymore. And most of the time, we're able to work with manufacturers on, hey, can we get a deal on X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z box because we're ordering a larger quantity. So I think the real goal is for us to be able to maintain that price long term is we need to increase the amount of discs and we need to increase the amount of subscription box. So I think that was one thing that 2024 was really good, is we really ironed out the subscription box model that we have and what was working, what people are enjoying. And I think in 2025, that allows us to have a lot more confidence in ramping it up. Another big thing for us that we launched in 2024 was our app, the Foundation Disc Golf app. I believe we launched it in April, May, June, somewhere in that range. And it has been really, really awesome. We have a few more things we want to roll out for it. There's still a few things that it's a little limited with, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not, there's still a few things that we wish it did that it doesn't do. For instance, you can't shop the subscription box in there. Why? I don't know. That's something that hopefully in the future you'll be able to. But right now, you can't. It is what it is. But what has been really successful is it's a really stress-free, streamlined way for people to shop. I mean, now when you want to go shop foundation, it's literally just boom on your homepage, click it, and now you're on the foundation site basically, right? And so we've been really excited, really proud of how this has turned out. I think it's been working well for people. We have some new stuff hopefully rolling out for the rewards program, our Birdie coins, which that's another thing the app does really well is you can just access your rewards super easily. So we've been really proud of the app. I think the big other thing it unlocked for us was the live selling, being able to go live in the app, show off the products Friday morning, tell people like this is what's coming. And what's nice is people who have the app then get a lot of times like 8 hours early access to the restocks that we're going to be promoting that night. So a lot of the people are able to buy some of the best looking discs that morning live while we're live showing them off, and then it gets pushed and promoted to everyone later. And what's also nice for us is it gives us another way to connect with y'all where we can send push notifications and stuff like that. And it's great when you have something that is yours that I can reach out to people directly within the app and not have to worry about, if YouTube, Instagram, Facebook's down one day, I can't reach anyone. So really proud of that. I think that how the app turned out was awesome, and our team's done a great job working through all of the different integrations and ways we can use it. And then the next big thing that came on our 2024 timeline was the Aceathon Zone. I think I have one back there, but the Aceathon Zone. That was our first to drop in like 2 years, year and a half. I don't know. It's been a while. Our first real, we did a custom release. We had to order a lot of discs. And I think the coolest part of that is it was really successful. It sold out way faster than any of us expected. We were just happy to get, if it sold out over the weekend, I think it sold out in like 50 minutes, which in 2024, that's pretty crazy. And what I was really proud of was the marketing effort our team put in and the thought that they all put behind this disc, behind the whole giveaway aspect, all of that. I think it really, again, people were buying more than a disc. They were buying into being a part of something bigger. They were buying into being a part of a contest and stuff like that, and we were able to communicate that very well, and that is what I think led to the success of the disc. And what it also has created is that was year one, so now we can make it an annual thing. And by setting the groundwork and showing this is what it is in year one, we can now do it bigger and better in year two, and we've done a lot of the legwork already. So that was awesome back then. And then personal growth-wise, I think one of the big things for me this year that was a shift from previous years, and I'm not great at this still, but I'm slowly learning, is how to be less involved so that more can happen, if that makes sense. So letting stuff come off of my plate, go on to other people's plates, so that, because I guess the best way to look at it is before I liked being involved in every little aspect because I really enjoy every aspect of this business. I really like the filling orders, putting inventory up. I enjoy touching every disc. I love seeing plastic come in and out. I loved back in the day being a part of strategically ordering. What are we ordering? What are we not ordering? Whatever. But if I'm doing that, I can't be doing something else. And if I push that off to someone, now they can focus on it way more than I can, meaning it will get done better. Also, there's people here that are way more talented than me, so letting them do what they're good at instead of me holding them back allows each of these different areas to blossom. Same thing with figuring out marketing plans and figuring out video ideas and all of that. Pushing that off to different people's plates allows them to focus on it more than I was focusing on it, and allows them who are better at it than me to do better at it than me. And that's something that, it sounds so simple, it makes perfect sense, but it was something that I personally kind of have grown through this year, and I have a lot of growing still to do in that area. And so it's really just turning into a leader in the company a little bit more, where I can give input when input's needed, but let people do what they do best. And that's really been a huge part of, I think, the growth that we've experienced in 2024 is me not having to be involved in everything allows stuff to happen a lot faster. And then I can just be like, yep, that looks good, let's roll with it, versus me being involved in every little aspect and me giving a bunch of, because if you look at the final product of something, then it's way easier to give feedback at that point and it turned into something better versus if I give feedback every little bit along the way, it's going to A, be a much more frustrating process, and B, it's just going to hold everyone back because then it's just basically I'm just doing it in a roundabout way because now it's all my opinion all throughout versus at the end we have a product or a plan or whatever. I can just be like, you know what, I think X, Y, and Z should be a little different. We adjust there, boom, done, roll with it. So I think that was something that was big personally for 2024, and hopefully I continue to get better at it in 2025. And then, there's definitely different. It's hard for me when I think of what could we have done better, because I think that the reason we're able to do anything at the level we do it is because we've made mistakes in the past. So you don't want to go back and change the mistake you made where, oh, you know what, we should have done X, Y, and Z. Most recent example, right? I walked through last week or 2 weeks ago the whole mystery box thing. So yeah, now in retrospect, we could have done the mystery boxes a different way. But if we would have done the mystery boxes a different way this year and not had the feedback we got, we would have never come up with the idea for what we're going to do next year. That's going to be, in my opinion, one of the coolest mystery boxes disc golf's ever seen. But the reason we're able to get there is because we messed up, right? And it's hard for me to even say we messed up because really what it was we just had a different perception than, like, it's a very easy, we were stuck in a tunnel vision and we didn't understand how it would be perceived once some people got it. And so it is what it is. Now we have walked through that. We've seen it. We've corrected our mistake. We've met when customers were frustrated. We've corrected each and every one of them. And then now next year, we know exactly what to do, exactly what the expectations are, and it's going to be the best mystery box we've ever done. And I think the best mystery box people have ever seen. I think it's going to be incredible. But the only way we were able to get to that idea was by going through what we went through this year. I think that's the truth for so many things. The only way we're able to efficiently plan, produce, and shoot, thumbnail, all that content is because we've been doing it for 5 years. So we've already messed up a bunch, and we're messing up right now. And that's how we're going to keep getting better, is because our thumbnails don't have a click-through rate they're going to have 2 years from now. Our retention time is not as good as it's going to be 2 years from now. YouTube's algorithm could change tomorrow, and we have to change everything. That's just part of it. So it's hard to really pinpoint, like, X, Y, and Z, this is what we should do differently. I do think that one thing that stuck out to me this year, because we're going to run into it again next year even higher, was when we Vendic tournaments, the importance of having, I think what we did good this year, because before I want to say the second part, what we did good this year at tournaments is we didn't do tournament-specific discs in the scheme of, like, Worlds here, right? Worlds came to Lynchburg, once-in-a-lifetime thing. It was phenomenal. It was awesome. But if we would have ran a bunch of Worlds-stamped discs, right? Let's say that we ran, like, 300 Worlds stamped this one disc. If those don't sell there, they immediately don't have value the next week. 2 weeks later. They won't have value again until a few years later as a collector item, right? And so you can get stuck on dead inventory if you stamp the date, the date, the year, the event name, stuff like that. So we wanted to not do that because we don't want to get stuck with that, but we do want to have exclusive releases. And so what we messed up this year somewhat is we knew the turnaround time from Worlds to USDGC was going to be very tight. So what we tried to do was overbuy for Worlds so that we could have some of that to take to USDGC. Good idea. Problem. They're within 3 hours of each other, right? And so we were fishing in the same pond. A lot of people that came to USDGC had seen the stuff at Worlds already bought a lot of it, and they were looking for new stuff. So the new stuff we took down to USDGC sold very well. The stuff that was left over that we took down there to the same audience, not realizing we're going to the same audience, didn't sell so hot. So, learning point, next year, the problem we're going to have is a very similar thing because we have USDGC, and then I think like 2 weeks later, we have the Tour Championship. Tour Championship is in Lynchburg, in our backyard. USDGC, Charlotte, 3 hours away. So, the same distance, because before Worlds was here, now it's the Tour Championship. And it's going to be a similar thing. One thing that's nice about the Tour Championship, they just announced it, is the amateur-only A-tier that's happening. That's going to draw in a lot of people from out of town. So that's going to draw in a new audience somewhat. But we do want to make sure we have specific, these are the discs dropping at USDGC. These are the discs dropping at the Tour Championship. What's left over, we can sell on Patreon. We can, give people deals through our text deals. We can put them on the site on Black Friday and, let people know these are the USDGC discs. If you didn't get them there, here's your chance on sale. You know what I'm saying? There's different ways we can do stuff like that. But now we know we need these discs for USDGC, these discs for the Tour Championship, and the common in between can just be the custom foundation stuff, the personality stamp discs, all that. Speaking of personality stamp discs, that was something that we had never really done before, and we really started doing in 2024. That proved to be very successful. People really, really enjoyed it. And so that's something we're going to look to do more in 2025. Not necessarily more stamps, because I think that you can get into just having a site full of a bunch of custom stamps and then none of them are actually that cool, because it's just like they're all right there always. But more intentional personality tied releases and spread out throughout the year, because like I have the Hunterbird, but as you probably know if you're watching this, I love the PA3, the MD3, and the Destroyer. So those discs all are very tied to me. So throughout the course of the year, it wouldn't be weird for me to drop a PA3, MD3 Destroyer, or over the course of the next 2 years. Same thing, like Connor fell in love with the Shaman. We have the Conman Shaman, the Big Fish Wizard. We have that. Trevor with the Supra. Now Trevor with the Cash. He still loves a few other discs, so be on the lookout for that stuff. So I think when personalities and discs mesh well, then we can run it, and that's more the route we're going, instead of just being like, well, I bet an Envy would sell well if we put Trevor's face on it, so let's try that, which I think is what you can get sucked into. So at the end of the day, we want to make stuff that people actually want and that's actually cool, and not just make stuff that we're like, well, this will probably sell, so let's just try it. So yeah, a little bit of rambling, but let's get into some questions here. From, again, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me over on Instagram, and that's how I always put up these question polls. And we got a bunch this week, so we're gonna go through. Again, I'm not gonna be able to go through all of them, but we'll go through as many as we can. Jared Tucker 776 said, favorite Discraft disc. Currently, my favorite Discraft disc is the Passion. I've really been enjoying that. I think. I go through spells where I get like sucked into a certain company and I throw a lot of that brand. And Discraft that hasn't been my brand for a few years, mainly because when Paul and Brody and like we first were all doing stuff for Foundation, we were only Discraft, and so me and Trevor at that time had to throw only Discraft. And so I was actually on Discraft Underground at that point. And so my whole bag was Discraft, and similar when my whole bag was Prodigy. Once you aren't sponsored and you aren't expected to throw just that one brand, then like every other brand just looks so enticing, right? Because it's like, well, for a year or 2 years or however long, I've only been throwing this one company, so of course other stuff's going to look enticing. So that was like, I got out of it. I started throwing other stuff, got back to throwing Destroyers, got back to throwing PA3s, so on and so forth. And so now I'm at the point where Discraft's starting to look really enticing again. So I think there's some more Discraft molds probably be going in the bag here pretty soon. But right now, the Passion. There's just not a disc like it. I felt similarly when I fell in love with the FD back in the day. And I think if they were still making the Innova-made FDs, I might not be saying there's nothing like a Passion. But it's different than the Discmania-made FDs. It starts a little bit less stable. It starts a little bit of pop-up. It starts more stable than the S-Line FDs. It has a really good feel to me. I know it's a unique feel. Some people don't like it, but yeah, that's for me. Caleb Collins said, last week shot a 72 on New London Longs with witnesses. That's important. First off, great round, Caleb. Any word on redesign timeline? I believe the plan is still first week of February. They're going to start kind of pulling the baskets and going with stuff like that, but we'll see. Jackson said, did I watch AR Jackson Jake Wolf series? I did not. Could Foundation recreate something similar? I don't know. I didn't watch it. Recently got a Garmin watch. There's certain things you track when you're training for a half. First off, welcome to the Garmin game. It's awesome. I've been wearing my Garmin watch for years now. Absolutely love it. Battery life sick. The main thing I kind of monitor is I monitor my heart rate on every run. If you do it just on the wrist, it can be a little bit off because it can pick up kind of your cadence and stuff like that. So if you get a heart rate chest strap, that can be more accurate. But eventually as you run enough, you'll just feel, you'll know your feels. So even if sometimes I'm running and I know I'm in zone 2, I'm, able to breathe through my nose if I want to. I could hold a conversation very easily. My run is very easy, and my watch might say my heart rate's like 160.
I know my heart rate's in the low 150s. I don't worry about it. Because if you put that chest strap on, it'll show you your actual heart rate. Because it's and there's also like arm ones and stuff like that. But I monitor that. And then what I'll monitor also is I'll monitor in here. It's under your training status. There's a thing called your acute load and your load focus. Acute load, I don't really monitor until I'm like really in training, because right now I'm ramping up. So it's expecting me over the last 4 weeks to have lower, but I'm about to start ramping up for half marathon training. So it's going to just be, it says I have a high acute load, but that's because I just started training more. I do focus on this load focus though, because what this does is it measures your heart rate during your run. You'll have aerobic, anaerobic, and then there's like within aerobic, low aerobic, high aerobic, and you want to have a lot of low aerobic, a little bit of high aerobic, and then a little bit of anaerobic. And so I'll monitor this load focus to make sure I'm balanced there. It's not necessary. Again, if you just stick to your training plan, you're probably going to be doing it anyways. But that's the only thing I really monitor, that and obviously my weekly mileage. But the rest of the stats, like your VO2 max on your Garmin watch isn't accurate. I've never got mine actually tested, but I've watched YouTube videos where people have. And this is just a rough estimate. It's not really that accurate, but it's a fun thing to just kind of track. So really, I just track my heart rate and then pay attention to that. I was born wild, said, hope you like the coffee I sent. I got it right here. Haven't tried it yet. It just came in yesterday. I'm going to take it home, and we'll see, but I really appreciate it. I like the name, Holiday Miles. It's a good time. So we'll check that coffee out there. I saw this one this morning. I think it's a really good question. Abigail said, do you still think majors are worth 2-time Pro Tour wins with strength of field and depth changes? Yes, and let me explain why. I think with the Pro Tour going to less tournaments, this isn't necessarily true, but majors still have the highest strength of field typically. With the Worlds being in Europe, that might not be true this year, but if you look at them, typically they are still the highest strength of field, but the strength of field has never been fully my argument. My argument is just that majors are the hardest to win because it's the one people want the most. And that sounds really stupid, but it's the most prestigious title. It's the thing that changes your career the most. So when you're down the home stretch of a major, you're going to feel more pressure than when you're down the home stretch of a Pro Tour. People might say that's not true. People might say, nah, it's all the same. But like if I have a 30-footer to win the Des Moines Challenge and I have a 30-footer to win the World Championships, it's a different putt. It's a different putt because one changes your life. Winning the Des Moines Challenge, yeah, it's sick, but like Conor O'Reilly is a national tour winner, right? I don't even know if he's touring anymore. I don't know much about Conor O'Reilly. I know he has a YouTube channel. You can check it out. I know he does really good content over there, but that's my point versus Isaac Robinson, 2-time world champ. You can go back and name world champs. World champs stick out. Same with USDGC champs. They stick out. Pro Tour winners, they blend in because there's so many more Pro Tours. There's so many more opportunities to win. Everyone comes together. Everyone wants to win the majors. So with that much weight on you going into the week, with that much weight on you during the final stretch, they have to be valued more. So that's why I still go 2 times, because the other thing too is a major, being a major, just has to be worth more. It's just like if you go through your whole career and never win a major, like Ricky Wysocki's won so many Pro Tours since 2017. He has been probably the best player since 2017. Hasn't won a single major. So then obviously if you look at from that stretch, it's like, well, why? Calvin Heimberg has never won a major. You can't tell me that it's just, well, Calvin, his game doesn't line up with those courses. That's not true. Ricky's game, Calvin's game lines up with those courses. It's because it's a major. Like they feel it different. And anyone who says that's not true, I can't agree with personally, just because then Calvin Heimberg would have won a major if it's just like every other tournament. Because Calvin Heimberg is a disgusting disc golfer and has been for years. Ricky Wysocki, again, has been probably across that stretch one of the most consistent and the best disc golfers from 2017 to 2024, but no major. I think that speaks for itself there. Majors are hard to win, and therefore I think they got to be worth more. Let's see. Disc Golf Daddy says, what's the best way to make godly connections or connections in general on the disc golf course? I think building relationships on a disc golf course is just, go when you're out there, read the room first off. Like if you ask to play through
and someone's super bubbly and funny and, really interactive and wants to chat with you, chat with them. Maybe like, hey, you know what? You're playing solo, I'm playing solo. You want to just join up and play the rest of the round together? But then if you're trying to play through and someone's just like, yeah, man, go ahead. Yeah, dude, have a good round. And that's it. Like, just read the room. Don't push yourself on to people who don't want to, be, if they're not in a mood, all you're going to do is annoy them. And the other thing is just get involved in your local weeklies, local leagues, stuff like that. That's where you're going to build so many connections. I mean, when I used to play weeklies and stuff before I had, a wife and kids, and was doing disc golf for my work during the day, I would go and play weeklies. We had one every Thursday. We had like random draw dubs on Sundays. I played all kinds of tournaments. I would like carpool with people to tournaments. You build so many relationships that way. And those can turn into lifelong friendships. So I think that's the best way, is like get involved in your local community and then read the room when you're at the course. So when you're at the course and you walk up to a group on hole one, don't just force yourself into a situation you're not supposed to be in. So S. Burke said, why isn't the Discmania TD more popular? Will you guys ever sell it? We do sell it. We might be out of stock, but we've had S-Line TDs on the site semi-recently. And I think the reason it's not more popular is I think that pros just don't really get behind it. I don't really know many pros that throw it, or if they do throw it, they don't push it a lot. It's similar to like the Avenger SS is a phenomenal disc. The Hades for certain players is going to be a phenomenal disc. But it's too flippy for pros, so pros are never going to throw it. They're never really going to push it. So even though it's a great disc for amateurs, I mean, the S-Line TD is a great disc for me. It's a hyzer flip machine. So even though it's a great disc for us, it's not a great disc for them. So therefore, it doesn't get put in our face a lot. So therefore, we don't throw it. I think that's why. Where's the next possible Bogey Bros trip? Trevor plans those? I don't know, but more are coming in 2025. Speaking of that, Backwoods Backpacker said, what's the biggest thing you look for in a new course that makes it fun? At this point in my disc golf career, if you'll call it that, I think that I'm mainly just looking for fun shots. I don't want super tight woods. I want to be able to let the disc fly a little bit, and the scenery of the course is important to me. Because if you have like the best designed course, but it's just like a mud pit with kind of like trash and stuff around and whatever, I'm not going to enjoy it. Even if you versus having a worse designed course with just like gorgeous scenery and an awesome park, I'm immediately going to think this course is freaking awesome. So I think the scenery is important. The maintenance of the course is important. And then design wise, for me, I'm looking to just go have a good time, let the disc fly. So it's either got to be like Pro Tour level challenging, where it's really challenging, really fair, and you can go out there and like test your skill, or it's got to be just like park style, a lot of fun. Because that middle ground where it's like it's hard just for the sake of being hard, I'm not about all that. When people tell us like you got to come play this course, it's the hardest course you've ever seen. You got a one hole, it's a 5 foot wide fairway for 350 feet. All you're telling me is never come play my local course. It sounds miserable. That's what I hear when people just talk about a course that's hard just because it wants to be hard. Jesse Nash says, if you were to get stuck in an elevator with one disc golf pro, who would it be and why? Stuck in an elevator, probably one of the Robinson brothers. Just because I think they're easy to talk. Really, any of the vlog squad. Robinson brothers, Gannon, Alden. I feel like you just have a good time. Just someone who's easy to talk to. I think would be the easy one there, because I think you get some pros in there, and you'd have a wild time with Drew Gibson. He'd be fun. He's easy to talk to, and you could just start asking questions because like they can't go anywhere, so you just start asking, hey, what do you know? What's going on with so and so? But I think it'd just be more fun just to kind of be stuck with someone who you're going to get along with and have a good time with. So, okay, we're going to get like 2 more questions and wrap this up. There's several questions about Trevor and I doing sanctioned tournaments in 2025. Probably not. I can't speak for Trevor. Trevor might be a tournament guy now. I don't know. I would imagine not, because his rating got really high, and the last thing you want to do is lose that. But for me, I'm not going to play many tournaments, if any, just because I don't want to dedicate weekends to that. I also don't want to dedicate the practice time it would take for me to try to get good enough to play tournaments consistently. I could see myself picking like a one-off like flex start or something, just like, hey, let's all go
pick the 8 a.m. tee time at this flex start and go have a good time. I can see something like that. But tournament play just doesn't really interest me in modern day me. I'm just not super interested in that side, mainly because I know the expectations I would have on myself, and I know the practice I'd have to put in to meet those expectations, and therefore I don't want to do that right now. It's basically the best way to put that. There's some interesting questions that I get asked that I skip in here. Hot Beef Disc Golf, talking to you. That's a funny question. Sotello Mike said, however many ex-girlfriends you've had, you have to name that many favorite courses. Unfortunately for you, Mike, you could technically say I've had 0 because my first real girlfriend is my wife. We started dating in 10th grade. If you want to count like elementary school, I like you, you like me type relationships, then 2. So New London and Falling Creek Park, if we're counting those. If we're counting just like really we're actually dating ex-girlfriends, 0. Because met one, we started dating in 10th grade. We were like best friends in like 7th, 8th grade, started dating in 10th grade, and that was 12 years ago. And now we've been married for 7 years. So there you have it. This one's going to be an interesting one. Disc Golf David said, how long will the leftover stock of KC discs from Innova last? I don't know. It really depends at what point did they know that this was coming, right? Because if they knew this back in like September, then they probably stopped production then, meaning not much longer. If this was a last second thing in December, they might have a lot of KC Pro rocks and KC Pro aviaries. I don't think that any of those discs are wildly popular currently, so I don't think they have shelves and shelves and shelves full. But there's definitely going to be some left. If there's a very, very few left, it might be something where they stop selling them to retailers. They have them on Disc Golf United. They sell them at USDGC, and that's that. So I don't know. It's a really interesting question, and I think a lot of it depends on when they knew this was going to happen. All right, last one. DG DFW said, favorite course in DFW. DFW is Dallas Fort Worth. And my favorite course in that area, I'll give you 2. I absolutely love playing Dash's track, mainly because Brody just loves being at Dash's track. As soon as you get him out there, he just has a great time. So we always have a great time at Dash's because it's such a short course. It's so fun to just run through it. Every hole is like aceable. Every hole is reachable except for like 2. Well, every hole is reachable, but every hole is aceable except for like 2. You throw a bunch of different shots. You throw some weird lines. That's just a fun time. But my favorite like legit course is probably still going to be the Woods at Trinity, I think is its name. BBO and 2.0 is what Brody refers to it as, but it's the one that's like got the water. We played Imposter Disc Golf there a little while ago. All of that. It's a really good time. So I think that one's got to be my overall favorite. But hopefully you all had a phenomenal 2024. I look forward to talking with you in 2025. Have a great New Year. Stay safe. And we'll talk in 2025. Maybe we'll do a little resolutions. Maybe we'll talk some resolutions. We just did some disc golf resolutions and stuff on Grip Block if you haven't heard those. I also at some point want to talk through the Infinite Game. This book, Jesse from Trash Panda sent me. I finished it a few weeks ago, and it was a phenomenal book. So I also want to talk at some point because I think there's a lot of good lessons in it. So who knows what we'll talk about next time, but I'll see you then.